Today's topic, should you take time off of throwing? Let's talk about it. This is Tips with Trev, the show where I give developing baseball players some easy tips to end their slumps faster and become a superstar sooner. So let's do it. So now that you've seen that really stunning and well-edited intro that I made, here's some things to consider when making this decision. Number one, mental state. Are you in the right mental state to take time off or to keep throwing? What do you want to do? And this should come from the kid's perspective. Like if the kid is interested in going out and playing and wants to keep playing and keep going, and it's not being driven by the parent, it's being driven by the kid himself, then he's probably in a good spot to go continue playing and throwing. If the kid doesn't really want to go play, and usually kids are pretty good about understanding this, like, man, their arm's hanging a little bit, and so it's like, man, I don't really want to go play today. Not really feeling it. Well, then the kid might take some time off throwing. But you can't just take time off throwing or not take time off throwing without first starting with where you're at mentally. Sometimes you need a break, sometimes you don't. That's an important piece. The second thing you should think about is the physical state of the athlete or the kid in question. Is there an injury? Have they been hurt? Is there swelling? Is there, like, what's going on? Kids have growth plate separations. There's all these different things that happen that dictate whether you should take time off or not. If there's an injury, yeah, you probably should take some time off. If there's no injury, then we go to the next step. Like, what has the workload been like? You know, has the kid thrown a lot? Did he throw 200 innings? Hopefully not. Better not. Don't do that. That's bad. But has the kid had a big workload? Has he pitched a lot? Has he played a lot of games, a lot of pitches, a lot of throwing, a lot of practices? Like, what's the schedule been like? If there's been a large workload, then there's more of a chance that you could take some time off. If there hasn't been that much of a workload, then what are we taking time off from? We shouldn't just take time off just to take time off. You know, then what type of throwing are we talking about doing? Are we taking time off of throwing completely? Or are we just taking time off of pitching? Because there's a big difference. You could throw year-round, just going out and playing in the park with your friends or playing games in the street or whatever, just having a good time and playing. That doesn't mean you're pitching or throwing competitively. There's some benefits to throwing year-round because you maintain your throwing fitness and you maintain your patterning and your development. And that, you know, that plays a factor into it. And that leads me to question number 3, or thing number 3 you should think about, which is, what's your upcoming schedule like? You know, maintaining throwing fitness is an important thing to do. You can't just take 3 months off and then 3 weeks before season be like, oh, I got baseball practice today and I'm going to go throw for the first time in 3 months. That's not good. You wouldn't do that running a marathon. You wouldn't do that lifting. Oh man, I haven't lifted in 3 months and now I'm going to go lift exactly what I was lifting last lifting season or when I PR'd 3 years ago or something like that. Your body's going to be crushed. You're going to get hurt. That doesn't make any sense. I think a lot of injuries come because people don't build up the right way. They don't take enough time to build up. My general rule of thumb is the length of time that you take off from throwing is probably about the length of time that you need to properly build back up. I take usually 2 to 3 weeks off of throwing in the off season, and I take 2 to 3 weeks to build back up. Now, obviously, if you take 3 months off and then you have to build up for 3 months, that puts you in a tough position. I see a lot of people in the big leagues even that won't start throwing until middle of January or start of January after taking 2 or 3 months off in the off season, and they don't have enough time to ramp up. They get to spring training and they're hanging. They throw their first bullpen and 2 days later they have another bullpen and they're not used to that workload and they throw hard and they have a game in 8 days and it's like this, it sneaks up on them. So you got to keep in mind what your schedule is and plan backwards from that. Okay, if we want to take some time off throwing, then how long? And do we need to push back when we're going to start playing? Do we need to just start training earlier? That goes into it. You got to know what's coming up for you. And that brings me to point number 4, which is keep your long-term goals in mind. Every day you take off of throwing is a day that you don't get to develop. You don't get to get better. And if you're not getting better, someone else is, and they're going to pass you by. So what are your long-term goals? Do you want to just play for fun and that's where you're at right now? Great. More likely to take some time off then, probably. Do you want to be playing in college? Do you want to play as a big leaguer? Well, if you do, you got to develop. Someone else is somewhere in the world. It's a worldwide game now. Someone's developing, someone's playing, someone's out there putting in work or lifting or getting better. So if you have that long-term goal in mind, you got to find ways to get better every single day or you're going to get passed by. And the other thing to think about here in all of this is, what problem are you trying to solve by taking time off? You should never do something just to do it. There should be a reason. So what problem are you trying to solve? Are you worn down or are you not? Like if you just went through a season and you feel great and you're like, man, I want to keep playing, and it's like, oh, well, it's time to take time off, but why? Like, have a reason behind what you're doing and think about, what is the reason that I'm taking time off? Do I need it? Do I not? Just have that question, in the back of your head, and understand that, there's different parts of throwing, there's different types of throwing, there's different reasons to take time off or not to take time off, and just think through some of the things that I've talked about here, and you'll be able to make a more informed decision. And that's really all we're looking for here, is just that you can make an informed decision. Some people will choose to take time off. Some people will have the same exact information and choose not to take time off. It's your choice, but inform yourself and learn some of the reasons why you might make that choice, or some of the things that play into that choice, and how health, I think a lot of the reason that people take time off is they're scared of the health thing, but there's the opposite side of it too, that if you don't maintain throwing fitness, you're putting yourself at more risk if you don't build back up the right way. So those are some of my thoughts on this issue. So to recap them, number 1, be in the right mindset. Number 2, assess your physical status. Number 3, know your upcoming schedule. And number 4, keep your long-term goals in mind. And that's it. That's today's episode, short and simple. If you found value in this, please hit the subscribe button. I have a goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. I really want to help a lot of people and connect with kids and give them tips like this to help their careers along. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Share it with someone who might get value out of this, or share it with someone who might need some information like this. If you have questions that you want answered further, leave those in the comments, and I will see you guys on Friday. I'm out.